Hello ladies and gents, welcome to FACEIT TV. It is time for another FACEIT Pro League show. I'm joined by James as usual, and he's tossing around some pins because he went ham at the major and he bought many pins for distribution over the course of our many shows of Counter-Strike that you shall see.
I bought a few pins, Dan.
Yeah?
I bought a few pins.
Many pins.
Today we will give away a pin.
Whatever's in there.
So how this is going to work is it's not even going to be a raffle, okay? So it's going to be for subscribers only, and we will open the pin, see what it is, and then we will post it to you wherever you are.
Wherever you are in the world.
Yeah, but
we're in London.
So there's no raffle code. People can just type. They can, well, not type. They can just talk, and they will be entered into the raffle as long as they're a sub. And then at some random point, I will open it, and we will decide. We won't decide anything. The pack will decide what it is, I suppose. And we'll pick a winner.
Okay, well that's cool. Thank you, James. Now that you guys might be a little bit more interested, because I know the pins are. Everyone loves the pins, especially if you weren't able to actually, get to the major. You had otherwise no opportunity to get them yourself.
Does this mean we're using the pin as bait to make people watch?
Perhaps.
Well, let's just do it now then, shall we? Let's just do it now.
Right now,
let's do it now. Reese, pick a winner. Let's go. Produce. It has to be a subscriber though. Let's just be clear.
The winner is Corey RT.
Okay, Corey RT. Let's see what you've won. I'm trying to peel off this really annoying piece of
plastic.
See how satisfied he is by saying that. It's a victory pin. It's upside down as well. The second one, we did one yesterday. You can see that there. You've won a victory pin, sir. Presumably, sir.
Congratulations.
Maybe, madam.
Congratulations.
Congratulations to you. We will post this to you. Send your details to producer Reese. So there we go. Look, no bait, Dan. No bait given away. Just like that.
Straight away at the intro of the show. That's quite evil as well, because maybe that'll make more people tune in at the start anyway, in the future. Anyway, all right, so of course this is the FPL show, and that is the FACEIT Pro League, and that is essentially a pug system where everybody in the community has an opportunity to play with the pros who are in the league and playing pickup games all the time when they want to have some fun, when they want to play some more relaxed Counter-Strike, but they want to play with players of similar caliber, essentially. So a good environment for play. And as I said, all you have to do is just qualify through the ranks, build up your MMR, qualify for Master League, and then get yourself in that top 50 and get in the qualification race each month. And you could be playing with some of the pro players that's or perhaps some of your favorite pro players, and maybe you can get known. We've had some cool stories already. Of course, Oscar was the first one, and I'm sure there's going to be many more as time passes. Now, why not let us have a goosey gander, James? A goosey gander indeed at the leaderboard from last month to see how things were faring over there and see who was able to do well. Of course, Twist is up there. Twist, a Swedish player, someone that we all know and love, that some expected to join NIP, but he never did.
Indeed. He has been around for a long time. People are always wondering why he's not in the upper echelon of teams there. I think 16K is a new player.
Yep, I believe he's Danish actually. I think.
Modi definitely has another D in there. Olaf Siko, Skirks, Oskar, Robin, and Jacob up there as well. So good stuff. You can see 16K definitely doesn't have a job, Dan.
He doesn't have a job. Yeah. Well, that's very presumptuous.
That's what we can discern from this.
Very presumptuous, James.
In there.
Twist definitely doesn't have a job though.
My grinding for the Master League is not working out.
It's not happening.
It's not working out, Dan. Although I did my qualification matches this week. My first one I solo queued and I won. And then I don't know how I won that, because since like the week before the major, I was in Milan doing some Street Fighter stuff at Milan Games Week for FACEIT. Then went to Romania. Basically flew to London, flew to Romania like 3 hours later or something. And all my hand-eye coordination has just completely fallen apart. Like I just cannot put my crosshair in the right place. It's a disaster. So I lost my other 2 placement matches, and now I'm in Silver League then.
This is what we call a slump, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
The thing about this actually, okay, maybe we should save this. We'll save this topic for later, because this is quite an interesting one. Because everyone's been there, right? So it's quite a cool topic to discuss. So let's check out. We just saw last month's leaderboard. Twist was towering over more or less everybody there. Let's see how things are progressing so far this month. Of course, it is quite early into things here, as you guys can see. But Twist he's up there again, and Robin is much a higher place. You can see Modi is really grinding as well. He's up there too. Oskar up to his usual tricks. So we can see that there is some consistency between the players that are putting the most time and skill into the FPL.
Yeah, Twist making that paper, which is always good.
Notably Pit's down there as well. And notably Pit is also down there on the leaderboard. And of course, he has left Winterfox now.
Yeah, so I think he's given up on the whole North America thing. Devilvox, another casualty of the Winterfox side from Europe. And he is playing FPL in Europe as well. So long may that continue.
And well, interestingly as well, of course, we were able to actually grab Twist. He'll be our player feature of today, so we can get to learn a few extra things about Twist, who is the man behind the nickname, and what's going on in his career right now. Because of course, he was playing with Copenhagen Wolves, and unfortunately, they had quite a hard time when it came to the pre-Cluj qualifiers. I was actually casting those games, so they managed to get knocked out by Flipside. So let's check out Twist. We've got a video to play for you guys, and this guy is, of course, like all Swedes who have been around for a long time, who have made a name for themselves. You are instantly taken by just the level of individual skill and how rounded he is with all the weapons, essentially, like the AWP, the pistols, the rifles, pretty much everything. Is really good for Twist. So he's a very, very all-rounded player. Reminds me of Dennis in that way, I've got to say. Yeah,
he is a well-rounded individual who you could potentially use him as a. I mean, he classes himself as an entry fragger, but you could use him as a primary AWPer as well because he is pretty damn good. So it was a surprise to some people that Jacob was the pick from Copenhagen Wolves to go to G2 as opposed to Twist. But there we go. I mean, Jacob's got improved himself as well. So we'll see if Twist ends up in another team, because I think a lot of people just think that Copenhagen Wolves end up being a feeder team to go to stronger level teams, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of a shame. I think maybe there was some lack of confidence in maybe the leadership of Zevis at that point, because I know Vendetta was helping them a lot going into the pre-Cluj the poker qualifiers to try to beat these teams, and essentially they had a game plan for Flipside. That was the big obstacle for them to overcome. They got a best of 3 against them. They weren't able to basically put into play what they had in the practice. And when you have situations like that, it can be very frustrating, and we can see the team kind of breaking apart after that. So well, let's hear from Twist and see what he had to say when we caught up with him earlier.
Currently, CS is my work, but I'm planning to study in the near future. I don't really have a player that I look up to. Like, if I had to pick one player that I think is really good, it would be Oskar from Hellraiser. I can do the most, but my best role is entry fragging. It would be getting the entry frags and open up the round. And I'm a versatile player, so I can play the AWP if needed. My favorite lineup would be the one I play with at the moment, DD, with Robin, Tomáš, Benji and Sende, because we have a really good team chemistry and I really enjoy playing with them. It looks bright, many tournaments to play in, so I'm really looking forward to it.
Swedish Terminator.
Yeah, well, the cool thing about Twist there with this new team, because he's been bouncing around from team to team, and I think people would have expected him to join maybe a star-studded lineup, because I think people consider him to be a star-level player or close to that kind of caliber. So to see United playing with Benji, Robin, Tomáš, and Zende is quite cool, because as you said, like they've got good chemistry, and we know what that can actually do for a team if you've got people in the right roles having fun with the game who are very competitive. So that's cool, because that we now know who to keep an eye out on, who you otherwise may not have expected or even known of. So I think it's DD was the team. So it could be very cool to see them in the future. And I mean, he also he said it himself. He's kind of an everyman, and that's quite cool. If you've got an entry fragger that's so versatile, definitely quite a cool mixture to have, I have to say.
So, does the Copenhagen Wolves team even exist anymore? Then I'm wondering, because that would leave them with a core 3, but I haven't seen any news. Maybe I missed it while I was away or something, but I'm not aware. Maybe somebody can tweet us and tell us if that team still exists or not.
Yes, it's hard to say what the future will be like. Again, I think the thing that's interesting, you said like the JChem versus Twist basically going to G2. Twist, I think, would definitely have been a great pick, but I believe Rain had a huge impact in that sense, because Rain, of course, he has such an impact on the G2 lineup, being the caller, the guy that's calling the shots. He's going to say, let's take this JChem guy because he's Norwegian. You know, they're both Norwegian. He's played with him before, so he knows what he's getting as a leader. That's like really important, I think, because if you're playing with somebody, they can have all the skills in the world, but if you don't know how the chemistry is going to work, then of course you're leaving something to chance. So if you can get away with that without that, then hey, we've seen how that has paid off for G2. So that's pretty darn cool. But well, it's about time to get into some of our first matches here today and see who's playing and what's going on generally. So it's always very curious just jumping in and seeing what's going on in the world of the FPL. I think we always see some interesting names pop up. Actually, we see Devilwalk quite often. Actually, Pitt and Devilwalk from well, now neither of them are in Winterfox anymore, but we were seeing them whilst they were stuck in Sweden, just grinding out the FPL matches. So it's cool to see them in a different setting, from the NA setting. I
do wonder what will become of Pitt and Devilwalk as well now. They are refugees back in Europe, but Devilwalk made a big decision to start playing in professionally again. Went over to North America, and I was surprised when after Luminosity took the Brazilians. I was very surprised that they managed to find another org, considering how unique their situation was with the Europeans and so on. I thought that they would probably not do it purely because teams want people, 5 players, ideally, like proven players from North America, as opposed to unproven, an unproven mix, continentally speaking. So I do wonder what's going to happen now. And again, like Modi is another one. He's been floating around for a while. He's always in a mixed team for big qualifiers for tournaments, but I don't remember the last. It was fairly recently, wasn't it, that he joined there was a news that he joined another team, but then you didn't really hear anything from them afterwards. I
have no idea actually. It's great that he's sticking around because he's there to be used at some point. It's hard to say what exactly what he's going to be used for it, but something else that I wanted to mention really quickly, because you've got Oskar in the game. It's quite cool that Twist, he decided to choose Oskar as a player that he thinks is very, very cool to watch. Basically, essentially his most the player that he would pay the most attention to, more or less, is kind of how he put it, I suppose. And of course, we've seen that Oscar's not a player that has a huge history. He's not a player that has a huge amount to say for his career. He hasn't created a legacy like a lot of players you could pick. Like there's all kinds of different players you could pick. Like for example, Kogu's made a return recently. Could pick Kogu. You could pick maybe even somebody like Fisker or someone from like the old SK line. Someone that's inspired you to play the game professionally. There's a lot of people that have those kind of picks, or maybe a more recent super top level pick. But no, he actually went with Oskar. So that's pretty interesting, and it does, I think, add a little bit more interest, I think. Yeah, Oskar has a lot of respect amongst the FPL guys, so we'll see how things can continue on that front. Bit of a walk. Okay, so the user here, Charlie, is actually Benji. So I have to keep an eye on him as well. You can see QRB there. Kyrie from Spain. Zabadinga. I like that name. That is Robin and Mickey is Twist, actually. So yeah, we can see that I guess they all added at the same time, all from the same team, DD. So that's pretty cool. I have to try to remember that. Zabangida. Which one was that? Was that Twist or
yeah.
Robin?
Oh no, Mickey's Twist. Mickey is Twist,
yeah. And Robin is Zabangida.
That reminds me of King Ghidorah. And Jon Snow is Devilwalk. And David P is a Belgian player, so one of the qualified peoples. David P. But yeah, you got Gerby in there, one of the Danish superstars, you could say, or superstars to be, in playing for Dignitas currently. Dignitas did not have a good time of it though at the major. They had a very disappointing result. No one was really performing. No. And that was a really big deal. Apart from AZ, yeah. Of course, AZ indeed. I'm still duo 1v1 with AZ. And he's trolling me because I've been talking crap for like months and we still haven't had it. And I was going to have it at the major, but I had no computer, so that was not going to happen. But now I can't even shoot global in matchmaking. I need to take some time to get my aim back. Oh my god, Oscar's killing everybody. You can kind of see why people respect him in the pickup community of FACEIT Pro League. All scout action here for the piece as well. Looks like they're piecing to get a frag there. So despite the CTs, just having a big advantage. Get it done here. Swing back around. So it'd be quite cool to see more money in the hands of
players like JZFB and Kyrie as well, because Kyrie's a guy that's kind of gone off of my radar a little bit because we used to cast a lot more games. It always felt like existence. Musambani, Kyrie, all these guys from the Spanish region.
Lowell.
Yeah, indeed. And it's we haven't seen much from them recently, but Kyrie was definitely one of the better players from those lineups. I haven't seen Musambani in ages, I gotta say. Where did he go?
I've seen a bit of news from I've just noticed a bit of Spanish news on HLTV, but I've not actually seen any of the games. There was a lot of Italian Counter-Strike at Milan Games Week. I didn't get to watch any of it because I was too busy and I was behind a production wall. But I would have liked to have seen some. So I met a few people here and there, but the individual national communities. If I'm in the region, I'd more than happily just sit there and just watch local Counter-Strike all day, if you will.
Yeah, I mean,
there was Star Series. We used to see them, right? They were always in the Star Series League, trying to hold things down there, but we haven't seen them in there as of late.
Ooh, this is nice. Get the boost over the smoke there for JZFB. But impromptu. And Oscar's spotting all of this. Oh dear. Oh dear. So actually something you were talking about earlier, I don't want to forget, so I'm going to bring it up now, is you're talking about the kind of, you come back or something, or there is a period where nothing's working. You can't hit any shots. And I know from personal experience as well, that when you're playing and it feels like you just cannot even hit anyone, it really messes with you. Because then it can easily affect. I'm not saying it's the case for you, but it can easily affect your decision making. Because you're not even confident you can hit the shots anymore. So then you kind of want to be like, at least I want to try to guarantee that I'll hit some shots. You give yourself super easy situations, but at the same time that's not playing correctly and so on.
It has affected my decision making actually, and even the last time I went for a slump, it was trying to AWP, and it lasted 2 months. It was two months it lasted, and but I was really proud because at no point did I change my sensitivity, which was really important to me.
Yeah.
So I stuck through it, and then I got back again. At the moment, it's partly because my setup at home is so ridiculous. So I just need to buy a table basically so I can play on a table. But in the meantime, I've changed my entire style of keyboard, not just the keyboard. I've gone to 60% keyboards. For those of you who don't know what a 60% keyboard is, think of a full-size keyboard. Then think of it missing a number pad on the right-hand side. Without the number pad and all that, you would call it a 10 keyless keyboard. I think there's a percentage, but I'm not an expert on that, so I won't even dare to suggest. But if you take off the page up, page down, that whole column and the arrow keys on the right, if you remove those as well, then you are at a 60% keyboard. So I bought one. I just ordered another one actually, so I've got one here and one at home. And I'm trying some new mouse pads as well with a bit of a different surface.
Yeah. One thing that I really like is talking about not changing stuff, because that's really important. Is I like to do. Depends. It really depends. In Quake, it used to take me much longer as in the later years, but I would have a setup review every 3 months or something. So I would create a setup and I would invest time in creating the setup. So then I'd be like, okay, I've decided at one point through extensive testing that this is what's comfortable and what I want to play with for the next 3 months. And then and I test it for a week or two, and I'm like, okay, boom, I'm gonna cement this, and then I won't touch it no matter how I play, how I perform. I'm not gonna touch it for 3 months at least, and then have a setup review later. Because at least then it's not kind of weird and ambiguous. Because then, like you say, if you start changing stuff randomly, you start to lose grip of reality, James.
Yeah, and you can't really identify what works for you and what doesn't if you don't try something which you might feel isn't the best for a while. So I did recently change both my mouse pads.
What?
Okay then, that was hilarious. That was amazing.
What?
When that lands, it's always absolutely hysterical. So yeah, I've changed my mouse pads. I'm changing them again. I've had these mouse pads for a good 2-3 months, maybe even longer. I don't know. Oh, he's not gonna make it, Jim.
Yeah, but he killed everybody. Killed the 4 players. That jump shot was ridiculous. It's so weird because when you're doing the jump shots, you aim for the person, right? But it's not going to be accurate at all. So it might go there, or it might go somewhere completely different. It almost doesn't matter where you aim; it's completely random.
When you lose a round like that, when you're on the receiving end of it, it's so deflating. It's insane.
It's funny actually how bold Oskar is in these pickup games. How hungry he is just to kill people and exert his skill. That's a really big deal actually. You can overpower teams massively by doing that in these kinds of scenarios. Of course, in a team setting, it's very different. But in the pickup setting, it can really get out of control. You got some like big skill differences. But yeah, moving back to the point there about changing your setup and stuff is I think what you have to be confident in is that your kind of brain, your decision making sets up the shots. So eventually you're going to hit those shots. You just got to trust that eventually you'll just hit those shots. Because the more pressure you put on yourself, because you feel like your performance is lacking, or you're too invested in you're invested so heavily in improvement that to see the opposite of improvement, like you get yourself getting worse, that's really scary. Because it feels like I invested all this time to improve and I'm just getting worse results. That is really scary. So the way to deal with that is to have like a system in place so you can trust yourself. Like trust past you, basically. And so, I mean, that's at least how I dealt with it in the past. And that was effective for me. But yeah. Oskar, he's having a good game, man. He's got 13 kills already.
I would... I'm gonna chain Get Right to a table, and I'm gonna make him review like some demos of me, so he can scrutinize my decision making.
I saw Steel did one of yours. Steel's very good at that, actually.
Yeah.
Steel's very good at that.
Yeah, I asked him specifically to do so. It was good as well because he was at the same LAN as me that the demo review was from. Oh, the next one's in December actually. I was I asked some, like I was looking at one of the UK scene Facebook groups, and they were like, yeah, looking for +1 for LAN. I was like, yeah, I'm up for that. And then someone messaged me like, actually, that guy's been backbanned, and he doesn't really care about it. He's just like, yes, I cheated. So I'm like, yeah, I think I'll have to rescind my application because VAC. And he's like, yeah, no problem, no worries.
Interesting.
So yeah, I need to find a team to go to LAN.
Make a team with Steel.
I'm sure I'm too low tier for him. Actually, the thing is, I actually play much better at LAN. I'm a much better player at LAN, much better, because there's so many stupid things I have to deal with. Like my connection at home is awful, my table is awful, so I can't have a consistent mouse setup, so on and so forth. But at LAN, I will make sure I get there early and deathmatch for like 2.5 hours, so all the derp is out, and then I'm ready to roll, baby.
Yeah, you get much more focus at LAN. And especially if you've... I remember this feeling specifically, actually. Like, if you're preparing for a tournament, you'll grind out a lot of games. I mean, of course, you know, my experiences... All the tournaments I went to... I did go to a few team tournaments in the Quake days, but... And I think the last one that I went to... Because there weren't many in the Quake days. It was 2006. We got to the finals, James. We had Tosspot and Redo were casting that, actually.
Really?
Yeah, there's a famous clip on it because...
I want to watch the video. You got to link it to me.
Because it's a famous clip because there was like a double overtime, and that's happening in Quake is really nuts, basically. Anyway, so yeah, when preparing for a tournament, I remember the feeling because you know you're grinding a lot of games. You're practicing specifically to deal with certain weaknesses in your game or to certain opponents you know you're going to be up against. And when you get to the tournament, all of a sudden, your mind shifts from this, I'm preparing, and into the, I have done all the preparation, now I just need to just play. And it's like such a different mindset, and with the added focus of being at the tournament, if you've done really good preparation, you should play quite well. Unless, of course, for some reason, your execution's affected, because maybe of pressure, maybe you know you need to get the experience of handling some LAN situations, and indeed that pressure is throwing you off a little bit. But I believe if you're a person that has a really nice system for preparation, that the preparation takes over when you're at LAN. I think, at least I got into that zone, and that's a nice feeling, because it's harder to get that on the internet.
I think as a quickly put together team, we had good preparation. The main mistake we made was on the veto process. In the match we lost in a best-of-3. There were two mistakes we made. First one was we vetoed one of the maps we wanted to play, which meant that they would guarantee to play Dust 2, which we wanted to do. And the other one was we started CT side on Cobble instead of T side, and we lost 16-13 on that one, which is a shame. We could have gone all the way, Dan. We could have gone all the way. We could have crushed the hopes and dreams of the other 8 teams ahead of us.
Yeah.
In the tournament. Actually, no, we finished 13th. Joint 13th or something.
It always sucks to get knocked out by like knowing that you could have gotten to the finals, getting knocked out by the team that makes it there, and like knowing that other bracket, like you could have made it, like it's always much easier for you to make it.
Yeah.
Always sucks.
It made us hungry. It made me hungry anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really addictive.
There's always that kind of weird silence after you lose, where everyone just doesn't say anything, and it's just weird.
Yeah, it's
everyone's like quietly raging or or something. And so I just wanted to play. I was just all over Counter-Strike. I just wanted to play. Okay, let's get a match here. Just play random person. I don't care. But people just dispersed and play random games.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing you can do. That's the thing. Like, there's nothing you can do after you've lost. So there's like nothing you can do anymore. So it's just like there's no point, is there, to just to be anything but just be present, James.
Yeah. Well, for me, it's like there's not many options where you get to play proper Counter-Strike, team versus team, as opposed to like random matchmaking or pugs and so on. So it was a super valuable experience for me, and I wanted to make the most of it. But obviously, these guys have been to many more lands before, so the social aspect has a higher priority as well for them. Because it had no priority for me at all, Dan. I just barely spoke to anyone while I was there.
Yeah, I'm not into the social thing at LAN, so I go to play, I go to compete, and that's generally what I do. When I go to LANs, typically, unless I'm casting to that, then that's a bit different. Then a little bit different than these days. But yeah, Recent actually is a pretty decent player, to say the least, from Norway actually. I believe he is. Well, I imagine that Vendetta is pretty good friends with all the Norwegian players at the top level in Norway, because it's quite a tight scene. But he's definitely one to look out for in the future as well, because of course we've seen the level of skill out of Norway. I mean, people talk about Denmark a lot, but there are a lot of good players in Norway, and I'm curious to see how that's going to develop in the future. I'm also still waiting for that, like seeing Kirby. I'm still waiting for the really sick big result from Kirby. There's going to be a LAN where Kirby just goes nuts. Because his skill ceiling is massive.
What is your opinion of Dignitas at the moment? Because yeah, like they were looking pretty promising in the past. Kind of been I don't know if overtaken is the right word. I don't know if they're being overtaken or if they've taken steps back or what the deal is. But
well, since they took Tensky on board, of course Schneider left, and before that Schneider was there to replace Nico. When Nico was there, sure, Nico was underperforming, and that sucked for the team, but they still were able to have roles that made sense for everybody. Now the problem that then happened was that when Schneider joined, so they were able to play better, because Schneider is a really versatile player. You can do a lot of stuff with Schneider because he's just good at everything. Like a lot of the Swedish players, like your Twists and your Dennises, your Olafmeisters, he's just like very good at doing everything. So that afforded them, like, they looked pretty darn good with Schneider, even though there's some communication issues, because they're speaking Danish and he's Swedish. Okay, you can kind of understand it a little bit here and there, but it wasn't the greatest in the world. But then they got a full Danish line with Tensky, and then all of a sudden it looked like all the roles switched around, and there was like no comfort at all for who should be doing what. And Pimp is picking up the AWP all the time, and Pimp is really good with the AWP, but I feel like he's good with the AWP in situations where like, I want to AWP right for this situation, like situationally that he gets to decide, not like the dedicated role. Because I think that takes a lot away from what Pimp can do, because Pimp is a really great player with the rifle as well, and he needs to get in there amongst the action. And Pimp is usually the guy that delivers at big tournaments. I haven't seen. This is the first time I've seen him at a big tournament where he didn't go ham, basically. Yeah. So
yeah, when I saw them back at Gfinity a while ago, I was really enjoying them, and I became a fan of the team. I was invested in them. I wanted to watch them play, and I enjoyed their tactics and so on. But that time appears to have since passed. So hopefully they can get their heads in the right direction once more.
And I think MSL's a pretty decent leader as well. I don't think leadership's an issue. I think it's just the way that the roles are at the moment. I think it's just going to take a lot more time than, because I mean you gotta hand it to them. It really sucks. You lose a player like a week. Was it like a week before the major? They lost. Yeah. That is rough. That is really rough, because then you got the guy that's stepping in. You don't really have time to prepare with this guy, so he basically just had to step into what Schneider was doing, and maybe that wasn't even working very well. Maybe they were having problems with that. That is just not all that stuff I was talking about with preparation. That all goes out the window as soon as you switch a player. All goes completely out the window. And then you get the situation where everyone's like, oh, okay, stuff's not working. I need to try to save this by myself instead of as a team, instead of doing my job with the team. Then you got, it's more of a focus on individual performances, because the team performance is not going to work. So it's just everything just gets messed up basically if that happens. So I think that result, you can't read too heavily into it. But yeah, AZ's a fantastic player. So is Pimp. Kirby is really up and coming. MSL is a great leader. I guess it remains to be seen how Tensky is going to fit in and what potential he really offers to the team.
Just a quick note about something you saw there. When you're on shorts and somebody's coming through long doors, that wall is very, it's not the thickest wall between those two places, so you can hear somebody running on long and vice versa. That's what the CTs just did there. Because you saw there was one coming through double doors, one coming through short, one coming from B via T-spawn, all pushing, so long was open, but they heard the play running there, and then two of them rotated back towards the A side. So just be aware that your sounds can be heard, and you can also hear the sounds of others. So you can make good calls to your team, especially if you're like holding long, for example, and you hear people moving towards short. You can pretty much have a good read that they are actually on short, etc.
Bit of a B rush here, classic B rush. Got some good smokes though, and also the CT's present too. Let's see how this goes. One other thing, right, about talking about Kirby a little bit and Dignitas, or Kirby within Dignitas specifically, is Kirby's in this unfortunate position in a sense. I guess it's not really unfortunate. I guess it's just a position. This is the situation with him right now, is that everybody knows that you're good, right? Everyone knows that your potential is pretty high. But you know, as Thorin really likes to rail on this idea of potential, he loves to just, you know, just call people out when they use that, because potential is you trying to project something, but it's not real right now. So you don't know when it's going to happen. You just think that it could happen, and it's very likely that it could happen. But there's still uncertainty there. It still could not happen. So with the game being so competitive as it is, you got to actually eventually deliver. Because if, let's say, Kirby doesn't deliver right on a big performance in the next like 3 to 6 months, someone else will come up out of the woodwork. Like maybe through FPL or something. They'll be like, holy crap, there's this new Danish guy who qualified. He's really, really sick. Maybe he just does an amazing job and they try him out, and all of a sudden Kirby's like, he's missed his window. So you got to be really careful in these situations.
Correct. Oh, I forgot. We saw David P just did a pop flash from the ledge. Nice. Did the pop flash from the ledge of short onto short itself. I want to say I've seen Steel do that as well. But I forgot to learn that one. I don't know how useful it is, really, but it is something I want to learn regardless. That's something as well. When I came back after 2 weeks, I forgot all my smoke execute into mid on cash. I forgot how to do it, and I kept smoking us off. I kept smoking off T warehouse by accident. It was ridiculous. Pretty ridiculous. So KRB's team trying to mount a comeback, although these digs are getting damage in.
Yeah, I mean, Oskar is just like a pug style, man. We should actually just watch Oskar much more and just like sit on this pod for a while, see how he takes fights and stuff. I mean, it was pretty obvious before that he like just wants to go for it, just use his skill, which is something that's not really, you can't really. This is actually another issue when it comes to demo watching. There are players which you should watch and shouldn't watch depending on your position, because there are some players that just go and change the rules completely based on what they are capable of and their skills capable of. Whereas there's
JW, for example.
Exactly, and there are other players that are the opposite. They'll play more correct Counter-Strike, but they're just very, very good. So they're very efficient and consistent. Crims is a good example in contrast, and why that in that example works quite well together. They got a lot of players that mix these two concepts quite well. You got your Olafmeister, and then you got your Crims. You got your JW. And you got your Pronax and your Flusher as well. Although Flusher is a little bit in between, I think. But either way, let's see how Oscar's actually playing this. I'm curious where Hellraisers are going to be actually, because they got Oskar and Stiko, but Simple's not there anymore, right? So who's going to replace? Who's going to step into the position of Simple? And you got Angel and Kutra on the lineup as well.
So maybe I guess Oscar's going to be the main AWPer now. Because Kucha was AWPing at one point and not in an older lineup. Yeah,
you would imagine Oscar's gonna be the AWPer. But the thing is that like on a team like that, do you want Oskar to be the AWPer, or do you want him to be essentially closer to something like Olafmeister for fnatic, where he is of course a really sick AWPer and he can pick it up as almost like a secondary AWPer to your JW. But do you want to limit him in that way? It's kind of like Pimp as well, right? It's Pimp is in that same situation. It's like, well, you have to AWP now. It's like, well, but I'm really good at doing a lot of other stuff as well. So I'm not really a specialist necessarily. So I would like to see it so that Oskar is afforded more freedom, and for them to have like another guy who's a dedicated AWPer, like maybe like Worded or something, someone that's maybe he's not the best example, but.
Well, Kucha's, you saw his AWPing once he started being like dedicated AWP for the team. His AWP developed over time, then became fairly good. I do wonder where the team will end up actually. Got a lot of potential, not quite reached it yet. You see Simple's kind of ejected. He's pressed the ejector seat himself, it seems, as he often does. So who knows where that team will end up. I mean, maybe he will end up content just playing in the FPL. Like that might be a thing as well.
It's hard to Simple because he can alienate himself in as many ways as he would like, but if he just keeps proving to have like really crazy individual skill, teams will keep picking him up because sometimes you just need a guy that's just out of his mind really good, and Simple is that player. But then also I think eventually in a year or two you have to be able to play on a team. Like you cannot just get carried. You cannot just carry yourself with individual skill alone. What like Oscar's doing right now.
What if he becomes the Pit of last year, where he's just like always that sub in that region where he just comes in and just wrecks people.
Prime mercenary.
Yeah.
Yes, I don't know. Simple's future is really uncertain. I know that there are a lot of people that thought that his career would be over many times because of the kinds of actions that he took. For example, I think it was which American tournament? It was one American tournament in America at least, where he was there at the LAN and Blade did something that he thought was bad. Like maybe, I don't know if it even lost them the match, but then he called Blade out and then basically said that his team sucked, like publicly, very publicly, whilst he was at the LAN with them. And like I know a lot of people thought like this guy's career must surely be over now. It must surely be over, and that was back in the Flipside days. So it's hard to say really. When like what will his career end at some point? Will he self-destruct it, or will he somehow keep it alive?
Yeah, we will continue to watch the journey in that respect. So, Oscar's team. Oh, he's not going to get a single frag there. Reaston only had the 10 HP, but didn't manage to do a bullet. It's still, sometimes, even though the new hitboxes have come in, sometimes you still see someone just ninja fly around the corner like that, and it's so hard to track them. And control your spray at the same time, like it just gets so ridiculous. Close one. Oh, he's heard a noise.
Oh no, that looked like it's pretty on. Oh,
this is epic.
Teammate versus teammate here. Which one was Charlie? Was it Benji?
Oh!
That's Charlie Benji.
Yeah, Mickey is Twist.
And Zabangida was Dumas, was it?
I've lost track of the rest of them. Too many.
Ah yes, Robin. Zabangida is Robin. Yes, well, looks like Team Oscar are about to win this one because it's not very good on the buy here for Kirby. Team Kirby. I like how good the Deagles are right now. It's actually really nice with the Deagle because I feel like with the Deagle, you have this ability to blow up around with just like some sick individual play. Because of course you have to, like the Deagle's kind of high risk, high reward, and I like that in games. I like that you can have like a high risk, high reward kind of weapon. Like Curry's gonna get 2 kills there. He's gonna pick up a gun now. He could win this round for his team. And just up against Modest. Pretty sick damage there by Kyrie. But yeah, there you go. Yeah, I love that the Deagles are good now. I love that you can be like, okay guys, let's buy 5 Deagles and just face mid or something and just see if we can get some kills. So that's pretty cool. I think, you know, there are teams that can do that and teams that can't because it's down to skills. And I want more of that. I think this is an argument people are making too for fixing the first bullet accuracy so it's dead on. Because then, of course, if there's like less randomness, the people that are actually really sick aimers are going to get more consistently, or they're going to win these battles more consistently. So if the higher skill you have, the more edges you can take from it. So I don't know if that's going to be like what Valve will end up doing with that, because I know there was I think a post recently about that, and I know that you've been talking about it as well.
Yeah, that's not going to change.
It's not. You think it's going to change?
No.
Yeah. Why do you think it's present in the game? You think they want some randomness in there?
That particular question I asked, I don't recall the answer enough to repeat it, because obviously if I say Valve said this and people quote that, I don't want to say something that's incorrect. They had an explanation for it, which is a reasonable explanation. The problem is I can't remember enough about it, or I'm not confident enough to repeat the whole answer in a for you're left with the impression that maybe there's reasoning. There's reasoning for everything.
Yeah.
For example, I asked them about how sometimes your HUD is not there. You have to press escape twice, and that's a case of identifying what causes it in the first place, so they can solve it. That's the issue, and it's a really difficult bug to identify.
Hmm.
Yeah. So that's really crap way to answer and unsatisfying, but there we go. Such is life sometimes.
Indeed, indeed. So we've got one more match to go into, and then that'll be that, and we'll have to see who's in that one. I have no idea.
So, thoughts on a major? How was your experience?
It was a very interesting experience. It's always very tiring, I think, for everybody involved in the talent team. So it's always like through a haze of sleep deprivation that you get that you see the event. But it was a very awesome event. It was a spectacle, and we had a very cool stage set up. The crowd was really cool, and being able to cast some games at a major is a unique experience, one that I haven't had before. So that felt like a luxury, felt like a privilege. So I was very happy. Yeah, generally speaking,
was our first major.
I mean, we didn't get to really of course see it in Romania, but that's like that. Because people always ask, oh, did you see the city? It's the best city in Romania. It's the best city in the world, James. Well, people don't say that, but the point is that you could never get the opportunity to really check because you're there working the event. So you just stay in the hotel and you go to the venue and stuff. But it was lovely.
That's something I realised actually for Sweden as well, because obviously I've been to so many DreamHacks, and normally I fly to Gothenburg and then go get a vehicle to DreamHack. But I've never been around Gothenburg. So last time I made an effort, because you can lock your bags in bus stations and things. Yeah. So I went to Gothenburg early and had a look around. I got on a boat on my own, of course. I went to I went to like this Japanese restaurant, had some food outside the boat place randomly, and then got this boat out, and it took you around the docks, because they used to have a big shipping thing going on there. I think they used to build ships there as well, and they don't anymore, but it took you around under some low bridges and stuff. That was really cool. But I'd like to see more of Gothenburg. So
Gothenburg.
I'd like to go back there. But again, with Romania as well, my first time in Romania, we didn't see any of Romania at all. As he said, we had transport between the hotel and the venue in the name of like coaches or buses if you're European. So I don't know anything about Romania apart from there are hot chicks.
And there's fog everywhere.
And fog.
So you can't see them at a distance.
That's true.
Or all the mountains.
I'd like to go back. We made some friends. Let's go back and see some friends. So yeah, for me, it was pretty cool. I liked how much effort had been put into, for example, just the production on the stage. So for those of you who didn't see the stage, they had the booths. Then behind the booths, they would have these like large LED screens, which at the beginning of each round, each player would pop up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and when they were taking damage, for example. Then, like if they took 30% damage, it would be like a torso shot, right? So from here to here would be red, and it would continue up until they were dead, then it would grey out. Or if they were on fire, you'd see flames behind them. Or if the bomb was detonated during the round time, then the flames would come out of both team booths. So it was pretty epic in that sense. It was quite a spectacle. The VIP chairs behind the crowd as well was also fun. Obviously, it's just great to hang out with all the other casters, because we have a lot of fun backstage. Yeah, you have no idea. You have no idea. We have a lot of fun, and Richard Lewis in particular is hilarious, and he and Thorin together are something special. But
they're pretty
Richard
funny.
Lewis is a very funny man.
Yeah, he is. Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, it's time for you to ask us some questions. If you have any questions to ask us, then we can also do the giveaway. Do we have more pins, James? Are there more pins to give away, or are we depleted in our supply of pins? I know you've been giving them away, like they are hot buns.
We've given 3 away. We could. I think there might be actually, but producer Reese would have to delve into my bag and see if he could find one, which is on the chair next to my desk, if he just wishes to do so. I think there might be like 2 in there. Or
we have skins as well, right? So
yeah, but we gave a knife away yesterday.
True.
I need to look at how many days of FACEIT League we have left, and how many skins we have left. It's possible that we could give away a knife every day. Every day, yeah.
Wow. Because I think we're finishing next week or something, right? That's kind of the
North America's going to go on longer, because the North American schedule was done, and then two of the teams were like, oh, we're actually in Europe. I think we're supposed to be playing in North America now. So so there is a pin somewhere on the floor. So well, you need to I can't retrieve it, producer Reese. You must do a producer mic. There we go. Thank you very much. So we have another pin to give away. So again, I can't be bothered to do any raffle codes. We will just give it away to a subscriber who just talks. But don't spam the chat, because I don't like that.
I don't like that. All right, let's see what questions we have building up. Can be about more or less anything, I guess. Pretty soon, Reese will
I suppose so. Why not? Ask us anything. Doesn't even need to be about Counter-Strike. Make sure it's not about COD.
Are these the only pins that exist, this pack?
At the moment, yeah, but you can see it says Series 1, which I think is almost a bait, like, this is Series 1, that means there's going to be a Series 2, that means you've got to get all the pins.
Because I got a pin from the last major, and I got the Inferno one.
I have the Victory pin, which actually was my favourite of all of these.
Really?
But then I opened a Master Guardian, whatever you call it, pin, and I thought, well,
they must be worth a lot,
it's like the singular, technically best pin in the whole thing. So I feel like I have to use it. Even though, but I actually prefer the Victory pin, and I don't even like. Wait, what's the one we just gave away?
It's a Victory.
Oh, this is Victory. No, it's maybe it's Tactics then. I guess it's Tactics. Yeah, this is the Victory pin's one with the wings on, right? But I don't like that. I like this one here, which I think is called Tactics. Maybe Producer Reese. I don't know if you've got questions or a winner. Either or was fine.
Anything really. We'll take anything at this point.
Have you got any advice for more consistent AWPing?
Any advice for more consistent AWPing? I would say you need to find a style of AWPing that suits you. For example, there was a period of time, like when the AWP nerf came in, it kind of ruined my style of AWPing because I would do a lot of crouch peeking. I basically I try to exploit the movement as much as possible, so you could do insane crouch peeking where you just had a massive advantage and you could just annihilate someone before they even realize what's going on. So it kind of killed my T AWPing when that came in, and it made it harder to peak angles as an aggressive AWPer. So for a while, I actually just stopped AWPing on the T side altogether and only AWPed on the CT side. So I would be holding an angle, for example, and would AWP that way. And there are different kinds of angles to hold. If you think of like the way Skadoodle AWPs, for example, on Dust 2, if you look at Dust 2 on the A-bomb site, if you're a CT, you can stand on Goose, for example, and you can you know, aim towards short. But then it's going to make it harder for you to re-peek if you miss your first shot or if there are multiple opponents. So you could argue that it's more consistent to go to play on car, where rather than having to come out and re-peek again, you can just move to your left a little bit, and basically the Ts have to force the aggression if they want to make it to the site. So basically they're constantly going to be running into your crosshair, as opposed to you having to be the aggressor and moving at a disadvantage. So that kind of theory is one way to make AWPing more consistent. So just think about what works for you and what doesn't work for you. So if it's a case of, you know, like another thing is, for example, working with teammates. Like if you are on cash, let's say you're holding an AWP angle into the vent as a T. So rather than having to be aggressive and peek into an angle, if you think someone's playing an event, for example, then your teammates can use Molotovs to force someone out of their position, and then you can try and AWP them as they go past. So that's another idea. Though you'd normally use a rifle for that scenario, but those are ways you can be more consistent. I think the first thing to look at is just what styles are you most successful at, and what styles are you is there most variance at, and try and cut out the variance. Just go, rather than trying to AWP all the time, because there was a period of time where I was just trying to AWP as much as possible, purely to become better with the AWP. Because, for example, if you want to get good with an AWP and you suck with the AWP, the only way you're going to get good with the AWP is by playing with an AWP. And you can deathmatch as much as you like, but you have to be in match scenarios to really improve in match scenarios. So, like, there was a period of time where I'd be like, yeah, I'm buying an AWP, and my friend would be like, oh, are you sure about that? You know, because it's like, it's a difficult time, the money might be difficult, or we might have a deficit, and, you know, my AWPing at that point would be unreliable. But it's like, you know, if I fail with the AWP, then I'm going to fail with the AWP. I'm going to buy it until I fail less and less and less. So that's something to bear in mind as well. Don't be put off AWPing in a certain scenario because you think you're probably going to fail with it. Otherwise, you'll never get better. You have to fail to then succeed afterwards. So that's my advice.
All right. Well, next question, Producer Reese.
What is your favourite childhood television series?
Did the stream hear his question, or do we have to repeat it?
I'm presuming they did.
Okay. Childhood cartoon series.
It's a television series. It doesn't have to be cartoon.
Well, I wasn't exactly watching The Wire when I was 8 years old, James.
Mate, I was watching all kinds of stuff. It's just good I had terrestrial television, Dan, and not those other channels.
Okay. Well, I had to think about this, actually. This is actually a really difficult question, because I've got to cast my mind back to...
Okay,
because I've ruined a few of them by like going back, like, you know, in the last year or two, and being like, to like see what they're like. I said, oh my god.
Well, here's an easy one. Here's an easy one. Transformers Generation 1. I think that is a timeless series because of the writing, the dialogue, if you think of the people who used to talk in that, like Orson Welles with Unicron, for example, and just the language they used was very, it wasn't adult language in the case of like swearing and so on, but just, it was just written beautifully, actually.
Yeah.
Like, if you think of how, like, Megatron being a coward and the way Optimus Prime, you know, would have all these high standards and he'd be the person everyone looks up to, but he's very much like that in the way he talks as well. So I'd say that was one of them for me. I used to watch BBC Two, used to have things like Captain Scarlet and Mr. Ron's, Thunderbirds. I was a Thunderbird nerd. I had every collection card.
Out.
Really?
Yeah, it was one of the ones that freaked me out because it's like the puppets, their dead soulless eyes. That freaked me out when I was a kid. It really scared me when I was like,
really?
Yeah. When I was like 6 years old, I was like, this is creepy. These puppets moving around. It's just like they're just dead inside.
I'd say, for me at least, I'd say Thunderbirds was up there. Transformers Generation 1, probably greatest of all time. There was a TV show on ITV, which is a channel in the UK called Nightmare, but it's got a K.
That was awesome.
It's got a K at the beginning,
yeah,
right?
that was awesome.
So basically, you have one of your friends has this. It's like a game show. One of your friends has this giant helmet on and they can't see anything, and you have to guide them through like this virtual world, where it's just like dungeons and all kinds of crazy stuff.
Team RPG is like.
Yeah, it was insane. That used to scare me. You can look at that up on YouTube.
That was
Nightmare with a K on the beginning, just all one word. That was epic when I was a kid. Have you figured anything out yet?
Well, I've thought of some more recent ones as well because you've gone pretty old school there.
Crystal Maze.
Crystal Maze. You didn't mention Thundercats actually.
I was thinking Thundercats, but that was really a tier below the other ones I mentioned.
Yeah.
But it was cool for me.
There was a lot of really good ones back in the days. Anyway, like Mask. I don't know if you watched that. Anyway,
no.
One of the more recent ones that I really enjoyed actually, I'll just say one because James rattled off quite a few actually, which was actually very artistic, was actually Samurai Jack. I don't know if many people have watched that, but it was actually a Cartoon Network series. It's quite good.
Okay.
But alright, let's get the next one out here.
Which pro players' playstyles inspire you the most?
Okay. I guess it depends on what kind of inspiration you're looking for, because I think universal inspiration comes more from the character of a player, whereas playing inspiration comes more because it's Counter-Strike. I think more role oriented. Because for example, I think the in-game leader, I think that's in of itself like this unique position, which is very different to the other ones. But that said, I would take a lot of inspiration from somebody. Like for example, you could take a lot of inspiration from someone like Flusher. I know some people would think that's controversial, but what people don't understand is that if you have like the entire world bearing down on you, like watching every move you make, trying to basically destroy your career, to come back out of that is kind of impressive. Because I mean, everyone's been in that position. I mean, you've probably been in this position, right, where you hit a shot and you're like, I hope nobody saw that because I just wrecked that guy and I looked like I was hacking. There's like no way I should make that shot.
I did that recently on Mirage.
Yeah.
Although you did a better one on Mirage with the scout.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He basically just went like that. I just 180 headshot someone through a box.
Yeah.
No scope.
Yeah.
It's completely ridiculous.
It's good, isn't it?
I don't know why you haven't uploaded that. But still, but they're talking about in-game style. Oh, you have?
Yeah, that's on my channel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, but in-game style, is there a style that somebody plays? Because you completely did not answer the question.
Yeah, well, I said it depends on what you're looking for. Like, as far as in-game leaders, like, I would break it down to the roles of the game.
Pick one.
Yeah,
Pick someone.
Yeah, but on roles, give me a role in the game. I'll give you one.
Well, I don't know, someone who... Alright, let me try and pick one. I'd say Guardian for me. I like, because as someone who looks up to AWPers, Guardian is a good one for me. So is Skadoodle.
Guardian would be the one I would choose for, like, if you're saying the AWP role.
Okay.
I think he's the smartest, been the smartest AWPer, as well as consistently the most star level AWPer for a long time.
Yeah, and it's not just because of the way Guardian kills people, but if you just watch POVs, his expectations of his opponent and the way he peaks them is very specific. For example, I'll always remember on Dust 2, he was coming up short once, and there are those bricks on the corner. He stood on the bricks on the corner and then went for the strafe peek looking towards Goose. And I understood why he did that, because if he's standing at normal ground level and he peeks and someone's holding that angle, he's probably going to get shot in the chest. Whereas if he stands on the bricks, then there's more chance of him getting legged, which means he can get the kill despite being tagged and survive, and then continue for his team basically. So it's the individual thought processes like that, the nuances, which are part of what takes him many tiers above a lot of other players. So in terms of styles, he would be one for me. JW would be one. The way fnatic used to play until they finally changed things up because everyone knew what to expect from them, like on Inferno and so on. because I used to like the aggression. But again, I did it in I applied it differently in a way that you can't anymore because the crouch peeking was completely nerfed. So for me, the AWPers, I would say those two. I can't think of rifles at the moment. Scream's style of headshots is always an inspiration to just try and headshot people as much as possible, which just helps me with my aim at least. So whenever I'm in a deathmatch, I'm just trying to channel my inner Scream, and I give him monthly reports on my progress as well. So I'd say those three for me. I can't think of anybody else at the moment. Oh, Taz as well. I like Taz because he's an aggressive player. If you look at the way he plays Mirage, for example, that is something that I can relate to. Oh, and Get Right, because I like to lurk as well. Although I find it difficult too when I'm playing Pugs and so on, because like everyone says, okay, when they start the CT side, I say, okay, I'm going here, you're going there, blah blah blah. But on the T side, people don't really establish roles, and then you have issues with map control, like Dust 2, for example. No one ever watches long. You get flanked by CTs. They tear your stuff up. So I always try and fill the gap on T side. So when things are running the way they should, then I would like to do a bit of lurking as well, killing rotators, getting the easy frags, if you will. So Get Right as well for me.
I think Neo is pretty inspiring player because of if you look at his career, he's probably got one of the biggest legacies that currently exists in Counter-Strike history. And I think a lot of people forget that, because a lot of the people who are newer to the game as well forget, or never were present, let's say, to the 1.6 era where he was essentially the best player in the world, more or less in 1.6, or the most accomplished one. So Neo's a very good one, and of course, he had some recent cool highlights from the major as well, which is great because he can do everything. Neo's done everything. He can do everything. He's very calm, very level-headed individual as well. So Neo's a very inspiring player as well, because if you think about how he's an aged player as well, he's been there, he's done that, but he's still able to deliver as well on Virtus.pro. I think that's impressive. And as far as I'd probably pick, just like throw out three names, like I would say Karrigan, Happy, and MBK are three other players that I think are inspiring for their own specific reasons. MBK is of course like very all-rounded and is very solid, and he's actually, as far as how important he is for a team, he's quite a smart and uplifting individual. And when it comes to Karrigan, he's just a nutter. He's a complete nutter, basically, but he's also very smart, very level-headed. And when it comes to leading the team, and the kind of roles he takes as an in-game leader are kind of unique in how he gets in your face with an AWP, entries for the team with an AWP as the in-game leader, and he's also got his strat books out there, and he does a lot of hard work. And the other one I picked was it Crims? I think it was maybe Crims. Crims plays, I feel like, the most correct Counter-Strike. I mean, it's hard to make that statement, but he plays very efficiently. Obviously, everybody knows that. So these are all good players to look at, I think, for specific reasons, the best of what they do. So I think it's because the thing, the problem I didn't want to get into is that it's inspire and pick your favorite players. I think are like two different, can be two different things.
Yeah.
Depends what you want to get out of it.
Yeah.
I guess. So it's hard to say really.
I'd say NBK is one I forgot about as well for me, because I spent a lot of time, because like he's often a guy who's left on his own to hold an area down. For example, the obvious one would be Long on Dust 2 on the CT side. So I spent a lot of time not only looking at what he did there, but what he would do as other things are going on around the map. Like if let's say the CTs lose short, for example, what does NBK do for his team? Is he staying there? Is he pushing long? Is he coming back to the site? That kind of thing. And the decision making, I learned a lot from watching him play actually. So I would add him to my list as well.
All right, so I guess it would be time to do the giveaway then. See who's going to get the pin and what the pin is going to be. So let's draw a name, Mr. Producer Reese, and we shall divvy out pin. What pin is it actually? First of all, what are they going to receive?
No, we've got to do the.
Okay, we've got to wait. Okay.
The winner of the pin is Liquid2X.
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 What have you won? What have you won?
Oh, this one's someone's already open.
It'd be funny if it's empty, actually. Not for Liquid2X though.
See, I can see what you've won because it lists it on the back. Don't read it out, thanks. I know what you like. This is, the plastic was undone, and I somehow managed to press it against it, doing it up, while trying to just simply lift the lid. So you, sir or madam, have won a victory pin. There's too many victory pins.
There's all of them.
Are they all going to be?
Well, they are more common, I guess.
They're going to be victory pins.
Actually, they're not that common.
No, they're the middle.
They're purples.
So
I guess you don't know if you can actually see this, but they're in the middle there.
Victory pins. I'm wondering how much this is going to cost us in postage, because we have to post one to America. One person hasn't replied. Then we've got these two guys to send these to as well. Yeah, and then ironically, I did a knife giveaway on the North American stream because often when we hit the thresholds, it's on a European stream or an Oceanic stream, and somebody from Denmark won the knife. There we go. You got to respect him for that grind, man. Cool. Staying up for North America with us.
Cool. Well, it's we'll be starting with the next match, but first just a small break, and we're jumping straight into the next match, FPL match, and we can see who's going to be playing in the pickup games. We can talk about whatever we want, James.
Oh, the match is ready. So Dan, producer Reese said, unbeknownst to you guys, that actually, Dan, there is no break.
Yeah.
You've tried to make up a break, but there is no break at all.
I can always walk out, James, and take my own break.
I suppose you could do that if you wanted to. You know, that's
there's no chains. You're going to need to learn to chain me to this chair. I have freedom, James.
I'm not bringing chains into our relationship, Dan.
Okay.
A professional relationship.
It should be without chains.
Yes.
Okay. Alright,
Let's move swiftly on from that, Dan. Oh, dearie me. Yes, we've been rescued by the internet. Why are you doing sign language? What does that mean? Oh, he's actually going for a break as well. Presumably going to make himself a panini or something. Whatever. So this time we're going to have Dennis and Hyper playing, as well as Skivan. Oh, I asked people as well what the ARN means, because that's a Swedish thing, right? And they said that there's like an ARN, and I think an AREN, and I think like Fifth Laren, for example, actually means the hustler. So I don't know what Skivan means. Bubble from eFrag. Pitt is on there as well. Robin's got a normal name. Good stuff. I love the new G2 logo. I love it. I was really hoping they'd come out in like samurai gear. But it didn't happen, unfortunately. But I'm really hyped to see G2 in the future. Of course, they are in the FACEIT League as well. So we will see more from them in the future. Again, you saw so much pressure. I'd say it's bandwagoning, to be honest, in terms of, Thorin was trolling about Fox quite a lot, and then everyone's like, oh yeah, let's get Fox out of there. But I think he's firmly made a claim to this place. Saw Makalele tweeted recently as well and said that there will be no changes made to the team anytime soon, more or less. Although, only have his word for it, but I think it would be a mistake at this point, especially after looking so solid. But one has to remember, their performance at the major was quite the surprise. So this is the honeymoon period, and I think people will have been unprepared for what to expect from G2 and how to react to it. So as good as their performance was at the major, 2 months from now, will they still be showing such strong performances once everyone's used to them, they know what to expect on all the maps? Time will tell. Only time will tell. So it's a good start for Oskar's team. And again, there's like one thing I like is G2 basically added another strong team out of nowhere. Ultimately, that's what it's done, which is fantastic. But then you look at the other players floating around, like Pitt, like Devilwalk, like Twist, and the people he's teaming with at the moment. You do wonder if something will come of those players. Who knows? Who knows? Hello, Dan. Welcome back.
Hello.
Hello.
I like. It's good to see that Bubble is kicking around so, because I miss watching G play. I guess they're eFrag now, right?
Yeah.
They're eFrag, sorry. So I miss watching eFrag because they were very hyped for a while because they were crazy. They just had this style of play that we hadn't really seen before. And Bubble was a guy that would often opt for the team. And he's just generally a pretty decent all-rounder as well. He's not too bad with the rifles. And I wonder what's going to become of that team, because they, of course, had this issue. I think one player had like they were blocked from going to a major, I think.
Dreamer.
Was it Dreamer?
Yeah.
So Dreamer was blocked from going to a major, and the issue was that in Bulgaria they didn't have any other players that they could really replace Dreamer with, especially because Dreamer is really good, right? So it's definitely a situation where it's going to be interesting to see if they can resolve that in the future, because again they cannot really replace him, and they found like a style that works all 5 together. And NKL always would say, it's like the team plays our strength really. So if you remove one of the players, that's going to just hurt one of your strengths. This is like out of the window. So yeah, that wasn't really an option for them. So that put them in a really weird spot. And then they had this, I think the last tournament that they would have gone to was the APM tournament in Germany, in Krefeld. And they actually managed to beat TSM there. And that was a little bit of a surprise. It was in the best of 3 as well. Then I think they lost to maybe Mouse Sports. I think it might have been. So that, you know, they still have they pack a lot of punch, but then they also started force buying all the time, and they started doing like really weird strategical moves, and they entered this like super weird place, and they just started losing for some reason. And they disappeared, completely disappeared.
Do they have a coach?
I don't think they do. Not at least back then they didn't have a coach.
Just someone to stand behind them and say, "Stop buying, goddammit." Would make a world of difference.
There were a lot of events like that as well in the camp of Envious, actually, because Envious had some tournaments much early on, especially with LDLC, where they were like, we're losing because we're force buying too much. We don't know why we're force buying so much. Then, well, it still kind of works for them, it seems.
Well, all that force buying paid off, because when they do force buy now, they just win like almost every single time. Yeah,
especially with Apex and Kenny S, it's like even better.
Yeah, so the grind is real.
They had a 40 to 45% win rate of their force buys. That's pretty ridiculous.
Tennis actually tried the last AFK trick. That's hilarious.
Worked never.
What was I gonna say? Oh, so producer Reese has told me, presumably from the stream chat, that skivon means the slicer. So I think the ARN means puts a the on the end or something.
I doubt if it's Swedish it's gonna be pronounced skivon either. Probably like Quivon.
You know, Fiflaren means the hustler.
Yeah.
That's what it means. He is the hustler.
But in Sweden, the SK pronunciation is incredibly weird. It's like a hua sound, I think. So it would be Quivon.
Oh, like Sky Kitten.
I think it would be Quivon anyway. I guess someone could tweet me to confirm that. But yeah. We got Hyper as well. Hyper's supposed to be the star player, I would say, of Vex, but he's not really been like he's a little bit off like hot and cold lately. But he's really, really sick, actually. So you know the thing I almost said about Team Oskar?
Team Oskar?
Yeah, Team Oskar, like, oh, if we were okay, Oskar's in the other team, we lose.
Oh.
I don't know if there's there must be some truth to that.
Maybe there is. Damn, he is a bit of a beast.
I love how he has like such little respect. He just he plays the true pug style, even against the pros, the best players in the world. He's just like still just complete no respect. Play style is great.
Let me find somebody to kill. I'm so happy that Dennis is essentially on a top tier team. I sorely missed the LGB days, where he was in the team. Then he disappeared for a while, but now he's back.
Dennis it's quite funny with Dennis as well, because he's almost like, out of the players on G2, he's almost like the guy that you just don't think about now, because you're like, oh my god, Rain is clutching, he's like, you know, calling the shots, he's awesome. Oh, it's Michael A, he's clutching, he's, you know, it's Michael A, it's hard to miss him, he's a big personality on the team. And oh, it's, you know, Fox, he's warping like crazy, this is nuts. Oh, J-Ken's out of his mind, he's so good. And you kind of forget that there's Dennis there as well, and he's super good at basically everything.
Yeah.
So it's just, you're like, oh, this guy just did 3K, okay, oh right, it's Dennis, right.
Yeah, it's crazy, and I do wonder, like, with the setup of Fox being the primary AWPer for the team, like it basically, when things don't go so well in a round, it leaves Makalele or Rain or JKM or whoever, well mainly Makalele is a comparison because he's an AWPer as well, it leaves him in a situation where he's one of the last people alive, and we've seen what he can do in those situations, so I think, you know, that's a facet that maybe hasn't been considered. Obviously, the amount of clutches in the major was a bit, I would expect is an anomaly because it was rather large, so maybe he's not going to be that successful all the time. However, you can definitely say he's got quite a good clutch factor. Yeah, and he's got the cool head for it as well. You know, doesn't seem to be visually taking any pressure in those situations.
G2 look like a biker gang as well. With a Bond villain.
I like how the thing where I've called Reign a Bond villain has gone to the point where he has a Bond villain portrait. That's cool.
Yeah, it's Fox who's got all the tattoos, right? I think it's Fox.
Yeah,
who's
yeah,
got tattoos, yeah.
Always wearing the long shorts.
Ooh, nice tank there. So there's 3 AWPs here. Robin, Oskar, and Huivan. I'm really not sure how to say that, but it's Svenska.
You're probably on the right track.
I think so. I'd like to think so. An educated guess. So, Dust 2. It's a good mix map.
So Dust 2. How about it, huh? How about it?
Good mix map. Yeah, actually, I think we may have even mentioned this before. Like sometimes when I'm just like grinding pug style and trying to get stuff done as an individual, I don't play Train. I don't play Cobblestone. I play Dust 2 Mirage because I feel like those maps are the easiest ones to get stuff done with as an individual. Because you can't have a lot of expectations on like even basic team play. Let's not even talk about complex team play. The basics are often not even there.
Funnily enough, a lot of people, because they've played Dust 2 for like ages, you know, for I don't know, like 10 years or something, you think they know the map really well. When in fact, Dan, a lot of the time, they don't know jack about Dust 2. Like, yeah, I've played this for years, mate. It's like, yeah, and you suck.
What can you expound this? Do you have any details as to why these individuals
we can look at the T side, for example. Well, for one, we can look at basic map control. Like, what are your expectations of the CTs? Well, maybe they'll try and push through long doors. Maybe mid-run they'll try and push through, get a flank on top mid. You know, having just a general basic structure on the T side, for example, having a set of goals as the T side as well. That's just run around. Okay, I can expect a CT to be standing here. Let me peek this angle and try to kill him. As far as it goes for most people.
Oh, I feel like there are quite a few teams as well, like top, more, I guess tier 2 to some tier 1 teams in some senses, that also don't respect some aspects of Dust 2, like the timings, the natural timings, and like how and basic map control plays that default plays. Like that was the thing that surprised me last we saw Cloud9 actually, is that at least when they played Luminosity, I'm not sure if they were just trying to counter them really like hardcore, but they didn't do a single default round from what I can remember. And the default round basically is when you take all the map control that you're kind of given. So you get upper dark, you get like a player on upper dark, you get a player on Longhouse, you get like an Xbox smoke or something to to help you take catwalk, and then you flash through the double doors. So you clear out the front of the double doors to get some information there. That's what a default round looks like, because you're not committing to anything, but you have as most map control and the most chances to get information safely as possible to then make a call. So that's kind of what a default is. And I didn't see that once from Cloud9 in their match against Luminosity. So with a team like caliber, it just makes me think that they had like a very strict plan specifically for Luminosity, having played them quite a few times before. But it didn't work out. I believe they lost that match.
It was interesting that actually when we went to LAN, we had two differing styles of approach in the camp on the T side. One was to just make a decision at the beginning of the round on what you wanted to achieve and just go straight for it. And the other one was basically, as you said, just going for that initial map control and then making decisions based on that, or going for the ultimate goal made at the beginning of the round after initial map control. Different strokes for different folks. I suppose that relates to golf.
So we do have interesting situation now, because it looks like Oskar's team is losing. Starting to lose.
Well then, 6 is a larger number than 4, so I would say they're winning at the moment.
Yeah, but they've got the pistols. They're losing the economy. Losing the economy battle. And they're around as well. So what will Oskar do to bring his team back in? Let's look at Oskar again. He's going to have the money for the AWP as well. It looks like he's focusing massively on the AWP, so it looks like he is putting it upon himself to just become the dedicated AWPer no matter what, which is interesting. I think, I believe that, I would say that there's a little bit of skill wasted there, because I think he's such a good all-rounder, but he's a pretty sick AWPer as well, and he knows better than any of us. Actually, I think we spoke to Oskar. Was it Oskar or no?
Stiko? Stiko,
yeah. We spoke to Stiko, and the interesting thing actually about Stiko is that, of course, Oskar and Stiko play together, and they kind of joined together into Hellraisers. But Stiko was saying that like he's a player that has been forced to do so many roles that's like created this like spot where he's comfortable doing everything now. So it's like a really interesting idea that Stiko's put himself into, because of course in the short term that's horrendous, because in the short term you kind of like suck at everything.
Well, I guess the word is adapt, as they say.
Wow. God damn.
Oskar is a dangerous man.
Yeah, they all they did was like, try to take a quick peek for information. They died straight away. Yeah, so that's I think this will probably reset the CTs. I think they won like 2 in a row or something. I think they won 2 in a row. I think something in that. Okay, maybe they won 5 in a row, Jay. maybe there's that.
So Oskar's team back to winning ways. Kirby's got lots of money. He was AWPing earlier, but on the T side I think he was AWPing. What am I talking about? The T side has not happened yet.
I really like the CZ these days.
Why?
Oof. I really like the CZ.
And in what situations and on what side?
Well, the thing is, I like using it a lot at the moment, so I'm not using it situationally. I'm just like using it all the time just because.
Both sides?
Yeah, both sides. It's not optimal at all, I don't think, but I more so would like to be using it in the perfect world on the CT side because the Tech 9 is, I think the Tech 9 is just too good still. I think you just have to have a Tech 9. It depends on the map though. Depends on the map as well. Like for example, a map like Train, I would probably opt for the CZ because on Train. There's a lot of like close engagements where you can very easily find cover pretty much everywhere. So you have the situation where you can spray down one guy and almost guarantee yourself to kill. Whereas with the Tech 9, because of the slower fire rate, if you don't connect the headshot, then you're not going to necessarily kill him as quickly and as consistently. So that's one of the reasons why I think CZ on Train is like very, very good. But on other maps, maybe not. It's not the best choice over the Tech 9. But generally speaking, on the CT side, for example, as well, you're generally looking for that one kill. And if you have really good aim. It's very rewarding as well because it is quite accurate on the mid ranges if you're tapping it. So that's what I like about it. It's like it's quite a high skill sitting weapon, but it's also very situational. And to me, it like compared to the Tech 9 or the 5.7, those weapons feel much more kind of derpy in that sense. It feels like you get rewarded for a lot of skill. The CZ actually.
Yeah, I'm not using it at all at the moment. I was using it on maps like Inferno on the CT side, but one, I always forget to change them out per map. But also two, I don't know what I think about it anymore in terms of where I want to use it that fits my style and where I don't want to use it. So something I need to think about it, and maybe I just won't use it at all. That's also an option. It's the one I'm using. It's my current option.
So this could be fun. Interrupt you there. Okay, maybe not, because Twister's going to kill Oskar.
Dead now, of course.
But it would be quite cool to see, just like get into the mind of the players in the clutch situation, because there's lots of stuff going on, especially not like Dust 2. And partially because, this is actually the thing, right? Is that one of the reasons why having maps that have been played like for a billion years, for a billion hours, is really good in some senses for competition is because there's such like a deep level of understanding of the meta game. Because the meta game is something that is constantly evolving, so there'll always be some change of the angles people will take, when they'll take them, and what positions are good right now, what weapons are good right now based on what's going on, what are the tendencies. And there's always a back and forth as to this is good now, this is the counter, okay, this is the new standard, you keep creating new standards. So on a map like Dust 2, it's like super advanced, and like you're saying, people know it so well, you almost appear psychic in some situations because your game sense can get just like ridiculously strong because of your understanding of the meta.
Correct. The AWPing on on these 2 matches is something else. Yeah, it's pretty serious.
Yeah, people don't really.
It's like AWP India.
Don't give a damn.
Representing their teams there almost. So, fairly close at half time. If the next pin we open is a victory pin, I'm going to be upset. Although I had was one of the Razor guys. I think every pin he opened almost was the same, but I can't remember which one now it was. I want to say Guardian. Yeah, they were all Guardian pins.
Well, it is random, so that can happen. Can be all any pin.
That is true, Dan. That is very true.
It is meaningless.
It's actually funny. I had a conversation with Valve about randomness and the fact that when people try to feign randomness, like with numbers, for example, they will try to make a sequence of numbers where there's like no pairings or anything. When in fact, that's actually a giveaway that your string is feigned, is phony, because it's very likely that you'd say like get a number of a few digits the same in a sequence. Then I also realised that we're all nerds together in this, Dan. Valve and I, all nerds in it together.
Yeah, well, I mean, RNG is it's part of life. It's deep meaning there. If you can't handle RNG in the game, James, how are you going to deal with life? Really, Counter-Strike is just preparing you for life.
Tell me more about your water-based economy, Dan.
It was a reference. I mean, it was a reference to the fact that like clean water is going to be a resource that is going to be high in demand at some point. And there's a lot of post-apocalyptic and otherwise futuristic scenarios and dystopian universes that have been created around such an idea.
Are you waiting for an apocalypse then?
One can hope.
Hope? You hope for an apocalypse?
But also, Mad Max recently very popular. I mean, some would say the best movie of the year. That was based on that dystopian look on the future. So screw you, James. You are the one that is irrelevant in this. Criticizing me. It
was an enjoyable movie, but if that becomes the best movie of the year, then I have little hope for movie stand. That's a bold statement.
No, so some would consider it that.
Some people suck.
It is highly regarded.
It was a good movie. I enjoyed it. I watched it on a plane somewhere, maybe to Kuwait. I don't know, but I think it was overhyped by my friends, who I've since lost respect for, Dan, as human beings.
For you disown them?
Almost.
It's good to hear. Good smoke there actually from teas. That's kind of nice. There's also angles actually where you would be able to.
Oh, that's great, producer. Yeah, give me more of that. Please.
Usually not be able to peak them because of their choke points. But again, you see lots of players you've discovered like
I can't see anything there.
Good ways of smoking in front of the choke point, so that even if your choke point is smoked, you can get out of the choke point at a timing that is kind of random. You wait a certain amount of time, so if they try to scope for the spray or something like that, they won't catch you. And that's pretty important, because I think a lot of people do get a little bit scared of when there is a smoke down, but you don't have to be too scared. If you can use smokes offensively in that way. I think it's also like in pickup games, taking initiative is a really big issue, because a lot of people don't know what to do. They don't know that like taking positions for your team is a value.
Yeah, people they lack a degree of awareness in such situations. So, Twist's team appears to be taking a strong lead over Oskar's now. Oskar might even lose a match down.
I find that unlikely.
I'm sure he'll find a way. Bob are going to be left in the corner. And a heap of what used to be, of what formerly was, but not what is. No AWPs on the Oskar side, actually. I wonder how much of an impact this will have, because we've seen how many frags Oskar's had with the AWP so far. Look at that. That's quite nice to see, eh? Proper long take on in a pug game with international players. But the team's got a position over towards blue. Not going to pay off, though, because Reeston's going to get taken down by Robin, who I think is in the pit there. So you've got the crossfire. That's interesting that, you know, one option for pit there is to not peek if there's a guy in ramp, because he can peek first and then pit can come out afterwards. But when the T's come through double doors, the idea is to keep your back to the wall, so to stop that kind of engagement by the CTs as well. So there is a counter to that, with that being in play. And this is what we talk about with the long flanks. Obviously, it's going to be more likely the less numbers you have on the T side. But something to always be aware of is the CTs pushing through long doors.
One thing I wonder is actually what's going to happen to Pit actually. And also, Vendetta was getting quite annoyed that he calls himself Pit, because Vendetta said that it should be Pyth. He said there's no like rule.
It should be Pyth.
Yeah, that's what Vendetta said, and he is Scandinavian. He said there's no rule, and he didn't yield his ground at all. He was not giving in. He's just like, I'm not calling him Pit, because that makes no sense to me. So I'll call him Pyth, which I respect, because you know he's standing up for his own logic, and
I respect logic. I love logic.
But
I am a logic bomb, Dan.
But
I'll blow you up.
But it only further serves to cause confusion for the likes of me and other commentators who are like, well, he said that it's Pit. Which I guess if he says it's that, then that's okay.
But look at Zipnix or Zipex or
Zipex. But that's the worst though, because he just lets, like he could end it right now. He could end it right now.
Well, you say that's the worst, Dan, but considering what people refer to me as, I think that's probably the worst.
Yeah, but
that's a lost cause though.
I actually warned you that would happen. I remember. I was like, James, you can't be called JZFB, because then no one will remember that. Yeah. No one's gonna and they didn't, James. They made something up. the community made up a name for you instead.
Indeed, they did.
So
I will let them lead the way.
But what does
James also works though.
But what does Pitt do actually in this spot that he's in now? Because he's left Winterfox. Where does he go? I mean, like, what are his skill sets? What is his reputation within the scene? So, I mean, he's been around for ages. It's not just been that he's just now I'm leaving a team. He's not been in a team since Winterfox for like a solid year or something. Really.
Is he considered a reliable team member? Is there a reason why he's always a super sub?
I don't know. I mean, it's again, it's hard to say.
Like if so many teams consider him a viable stand-in for them, how is he not in an actual team most of the time?
Well, this is the thing: is that you have to wonder whether or not there is a reason as far as the social aspect goes, because sometimes players just don't get along with other players, and it's a social environment, and that's why it's really important as well. I talked about this in one of my videos. It's really important to like just take care of how you're, because if you want to get into teams right, you want people to enjoy playing with you. You want to be productive with other people, because it's a team game. So you have to be able to fit into the team environment in all senses in that way. So maybe that's the case. Maybe he doesn't fit in well with teams. Maybe he's like got a bit of a route snake thing going on.
Maybe he does. See what happens over time.
Speaking of which, in the FACEIT League, if you are mean to players, you can get banned. If you're a bully, James. Would you bully people?
Oskar is killing.
I've heard you play matchmaking, James. You're bullying everyone.
I do troll people. Oh my god. I was playing with Samla yesterday, right? No, it was earlier today. And as soon as I connected to the server, because there were 4 of us, and the 5th guy says to me, "I hope your CS:GO is better than your casting." Like immediately, I'm like, okay, I respect that, because I troll everyone. Everyone who comes up to me at shows, everyone, they all get trolled. So the fact that he just came out and just trolled me immediately before I even pressed the microphone button, I respect that.
How did you troll him back though?
I told him I was going to shoot him, and I was going to shoot him, but then
whoa, okay.
we all died on the pistol round.
Yeah, talking about
anyway.
Okay. That's a terrible like troll back. I will shoot you in this game of Counter-Strike. So there.
Hey, he caught me well off guard, Dan. Well off guard.
So I'm ready for that.
Completely off guard. That was on cobblers.
It's quite interesting to see like the dynamics with the Molotovs in the game now, because that's kind of new, to be honest. 1.6 Source, those games, they span much more time than CS:GO has, and they did not have that. They did not have the Molotov. Although that said, they did have a lot of silly stuff, like especially Source. Source had a lot of ridiculous stuff. I'll never forget the Source.
How about the shield?
The Source smokes. Where the Source smokes, you'd throw them initially. I mean, they did change it, but it took a long time. But you'd throw it, and it would take like 10 seconds to fully bloom. So it's like, what is the point of that? You just throw it, and you're giving away everything. So well, there's a smoke there. It's like it's just slowly seeping out. It's like 10 seconds later. Oh, okay, they smoked this off.
What about the shield then?
Yeah, the right shield was a bit of a.
The right shield was the ultimate troll. It was hilarious. Because I don't know if you remember, but they were a bunch of adjustments they made to it over time. So when it first came out, it was just completely stupid and hilarious to just troll, just run at people with shields. It was hilarious. Absolutely
it was so
hilarious.
Ridiculous. Like, I can't believe they added that into the game, to be honest.
It's like, great, let me just completely close the angle down and then just 2-tap you in the head. Thank you for playing. It was a lot of fun. But completely stupid. But a lot of fun. It was my kind of fun, because it annoyed people. Like, how can I use this shield to annoy someone as much as possible? Yes, I would exploit this to the max.
I would have gotten you banned immediately from any server I was on, I think.
I do remember the smoke seeping out though, now you mention it.
Yeah, it's pretty broken. There were a lot of issues in Source. A lot of issues as well with like what clients to use. As far as anti-cheat goes, that was like a really big deal to block certain CVARs, and lots of different leagues had different takes on what rules should be going through. So some leagues had the idea that, okay, as soon as you die, we want it to be like LAN, and we want like a blackout as well. So as soon as you die, you can't see anything immediately. So there's no def cam, like stuff like that. For example, some leagues, I think ESL had that in some of their leagues. I think super long time ago.
I asked the Valve devs to consider halving the time of the def cam, because I feel like the person who gets the kill gets punished afterwards by the def cam, because it basically reveals the intentions of their side following the kill, because the def cam is too long. and you should not get punished for killing someone.
The
should
death
be rewarded.
cam is really long. I need to time it actually because it seems like it's 5 seconds or something. It seems really long at the moment. And I think like 2.5 seconds or something would probably be okay because you can fake the death cam then. Because there's nothing wrong with the death cam as long as you have the opportunity to fake it. Yeah, like you just need to be able to fake it. Because I think it does actually make some sense because it does give some clarity to. Like it gives you the option to communicate information to your team, and if you just remove that entirely, then I think that then you remove some of the skill and the communication to your team, because that is a skill, effectively communicating information. And I feel like you probably will know most of the you probably know like 90% of things you would see in the death cam anyway. So just like the opportunity to fake the death cam is quite cool, I think.
Agree.
So I like that.
Yeah, me too. And obviously I'm being used to having it for so long.
But how much is the perfect time? That's the question, really. What is the perfect adjustment?
I think, for me, I think it should be somewhere between a third to half, as long as it is at the moment.
I'm not sure how long it is at the moment, but I think like 2.5 to 3 seconds. I think that's completely fine. I don't think you'd need any more than that or less than that. But it's something that you'd have to test quite a lot as well. Because you'd have to run that for like a month on games and see, okay, how does this feel? What is the feedback? Because it's a pretty huge change as well. But right now it is pretty ridiculous. There's been a lot of rounds won and lost because of the death cam and the way it is. And there's some spots where like time is incredibly important, and but you cannot. You're going to give away your intentions because you just have to act. So you're just going to give away the intentions straight away.
Yeah, exactly.
And that sucks.
I don't know what I was about to say. That's all. No. Oh, at the major, there was a few examples during a G2 match where people had posted examples of, I think it was JZFB, trying to fake the death cam, but having to wait so long, you basically lose the advantage. Like if you're trying to exploit a lack of personnel in a certain spot, you know, to take map control and so on. If you want to do that without giving the information away to the teammate, because it is a game of information to the opponent, sorry, then you have to wait a very long time to the point where the CTs can rotate in the time that you are trying to avoid being seen on the death cam.
Yeah, it's a little bit awkward right now. It's definitely something that's worth looking at from Valve's end, I think. We'll have to see. Either way, that's going to be the end of this one. Looks like Oscar's going to lose after all. But Oscar's AWPing is really crazy. It was actually Kirby that had like a pretty explosive game here. So interesting stuff. Again, still waiting for Kirby to have like a massive LAN. I guess I'm trying to think what the next LAN would be for them. I'm not sure actually, because we're coming to the end of the year, so
yeah, there's
actually not a lot left going into the end of the year.
Yeah, I don't know what they're involved in outside of FACEIT.
Yeah, they're not in FACEIT League, right? So
who knows?
So I guess we won't see them in Jönköping.
We won't, unless they're cheerleading or
unless they're just there.
Unless they're cheerleading, yeah.
Yeah, it's possible.
Or unless there's another international implosion of teams, something crazy happens like that. So there we go.
Yeah, it's very interesting, isn't it? Especially with AZ. That's interesting. Like what's going to happen with AZ? Is he going to decide to? Because he of course has a contract, but it depends on, like, is there a team that would even one want to buy him right now, and two have the money to do so? How much is the buyout clause for AZ? Because that's what you'd have to do. You'd have to buy him, right? If someone wanted to take him, I don't think anyone would take anybody else just yet from that lineup. So it's
time will tell.
It's interesting, very interesting in the professional scene. What's going on right now with the lineups? Either way, that's the end of today's FPL. Anything you want to add? Anything you want to get off your chest that you were holding inside?
For those of you who want pins, make sure you send addresses, and we will send them when I can be bothered. I hate posting stuff. I don't know why I came up with this idea.
It's an interesting idea. Well, we actually set up a PO box, didn't we? Actually, for the keys.
We didn't.
We didn't in the end.
Couldn't be bothered.
Brilliant. All right. Fantastic. Okay, that's a good note to end the show. Of course, remember to follow the channel, guys. We'll be live with a lot of Counter-Strike. We have the rest of the FACEIT League for Europe and North America likely coming to a conclusion next week. So we've got loads of CS for you guys to watch. So I hope to see you there on the streams. But that is all from me and James for now. So have a very good night, and we'll see you hopefully next week.